Camron just shook the internet to its core after exposing Chrissy's dark past. And the fallout was so intense that Jim Jones walked away in complete silence. Fans are calling this the most shocking betrayal yet. The hip-hop world has always thrived on drama, loyalty, and betrayal, but nothing could have prepared fans for the latest scandal tearing through Harlem. When it comes to Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin, their relationship has always been under the microscope. From their explosive appearances on Love and Hip Hop to their years of highs and lows, the couple has faced it all, Lore. At least, that's what everyone thought. But when Camron, Jim's longtime friend turned rival, decided to pull the curtain back on Chrissy's past, the revelations hit like a bombshell. The fallout? Jim Jones, known for his fiery temper and outspoken nature, responded in a way nobody expected, with silence. And in the world of hip-hop, silence speaks louder than words. To understand just how shocking this leak was, we need to rewind. Jim Jones and Camron weren't just industry peers, they were brothers in arms. Together, they built the foundation of the Diplomats, better known as Dipset, an iconic rap collective that left a permanent mark on hip-hop culture. Their friendship and bond went beyond music. It was about Harlem, pride, brotherhood, and family. But as time went on, cracks began to form. Ego clashes, money disputes, and personal issues tore them apart, turning the once unbreakable bond into a cold rivalry. Fans have seen them throw jabs at each other over the years, but what Camron did this time crossed a line in a shocking move. Camron took to social media late at night and dropped what he claimed were receipts about Chrissy's past, screenshots, alleged old photos, and cryptic captions painted a picture of a woman whose history was far more complicated than the polished reality TV persona she had crafted. Camron insinuated that Chrissy had connections with men in the industry long before Jim, and that certain dealings she had in Harlem weren't as innocent as fans once believed. The post instantly went viral, fans scrambling to dissect every word, every detail, and every image Cam presented. For Chrissy, who has always fought to be respected not just as Jim's fiancée, but as a woman of influence in her own right. This was devastating. The reality TV star had spent years defending her relationship, battling accusations of being a gold digger or someone only seeking fame through Jim. She stood by him through family drama, through financial struggles, and through the constant criticism of why, after all these years, Jim still hadn't officially married her. And now, to have her name dragged through the mud by someone who was once part of their family circle, it was the ultimate betrayal. The streets of Harlem began buzzing. Blogs picked up the story instantly, with headlines blaring about Camron's bombshell on Chrissy and speculating about what this would mean for her and Jim. Twitter and Instagram exploded with debates, some fans siding with Chrissy, arguing that Cam was being petty and vindictive, while others speculated there might be truth in what he exposed. The situation had turned into a circus, with Chrissy caught in the middle of a narrative she couldn't control. But the most shocking part of this entire scandal wasn't Chrissy's reaction, it was Jim's. People expected Jones to lash out, to defend his fiancée, or to fire back at Cam with the same raw energy he's known for. But instead, Jim stayed silent. No social media posts, no interviews, no subliminal disguise, nothing. For a man as outspoken as Jim Jones, that silence was deafening. And fans immediately noticed. If Jim isn't saying anything, maybe there's truth to it, one fan wrote on Twitter. Another added, his silence is louder than any words Cam could have said. The speculation only grew. Was Jim doubting Chrissy? Was this the crack in their relationship that everyone had been predicting for years? Or was he simply refusing to give Cam the satisfaction of a response? Meanwhile, Chrissy was left to deal with the storm. Close sources revealed that she was furious not only at Cam, but also at Jim for refusing to publicly stand up for her. To her, his silence wasn't strength, It was abandonment. Behind closed doors, their household reportedly turned tense, with heated arguments and questions of loyalty circling the air. After all the years of sacrifice and commitment she had given Jim, she now found herself humiliated in front of the world without the protection of the man she loved. Cam, of course, thrived on the chaos. He continued to post cryptic messages, laughing off the backlash and hinting that he had even more information he could release if provoked. It wasn't just about Chrissy anymore. It was about dominance. Cam wanted to remind everyone that he still had the power to shake Jim Jones' world, even after all these years. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Jim and Cam's beef has always had layers. This wasn't just about Chrissy. It was about decades of brotherhood gone sour. Cam exposing Chrissy's past wasn't just a random attack, it was a calculated move to hit Jim where it hurt most: his family, his pride, his heart. Jim's silence may have been interpreted as weakness by some, but to others it was a calculated move of its own. By not responding, Jim denied Cam the back-and-forth drama he was clearly fishing for. Still, the silence left everyone wondering, what does this mean for Jim and Chrissy's relationship? Could Chrissy ever forgive him for not speaking up in her defense? Could Jim continue to build a future with her, knowing the streets were buzzing with doubts about her past? And most importantly, was Cam done? Or was this just the beginning of a bigger storm he planned to unleash? The world of hip-hop thrives on power plays, and this was one of the biggest in recent memory. Camron had drawn a line in the sand. Chrissy was left fighting for her dignity, and Jim Jones, he was walking the tightrope between loyalty and silence. Whether that silence was strength or surrender, that remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. This isn't just another scandal. This is personal. This is Harlem history unraveling in real time. And the next move will determine not just the fate of Jim and Chrissy's relationship, but the legacy of Dipset itself. The fallout from Camron's shocking leak didn't just rattle Chrissy, it sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. Harlem streets were buzzing, industry insiders were whispering, and blogs couldn't get enough of the story. Everyone wanted to know one thing: how is Chrissy really handling this public humiliation? And what did Jim's silence mean? Behind closed doors, sources close to the couple painted a picture far more explosive than the public could imagine. Chrissy was reportedly devastated. For years, she fought off accusations of being just Jim's girlfriend, who stuck around for the fame and money. She prided herself on being a woman who stood tall through the misanthropes of love, loyalty, and reality TV. But Cam's revelations threatened to undo everything she had worked to build. Suddenly, she wasn't just Chrissy Lampkin from Love and Hip Hop. She was a headline, a meme, and a talking point in Camron's ruthless game of revenge. And while fans argued online, Chrissy was said to be fuming inside her home. Sources revealed that she confronted Jim in private, demanding that he speak up for her, defend her honor, and shut down the rumors before they spiraled out of control. "You're just going to sit there and let him humiliate me," she allegedly snapped during one heated exchange. To Chrissy, Jim's silence was cutting deeper than Cam's accusations ever could. It wasn't just about Cam dragging her name, which is about Jim letting it happen. But Jim's response shocked even her. Instead of rushing to defend her in public, Jim reportedly told Chrissy that silence was the smartest move. "The more I talk, the more he wins," Jim is said to have told her. From his perspective, engaging with Cam would only escalate the drama, giving his old friend exactly what he wanted: attention, clicks, and control of the narrative. Jim believed that by staying quiet, the noise would eventually fade away. But Chrissy didn't see it that way. Her silence wasn't strategy, was abandonment. The couple's private arguments began to leak out into the public sphere, with insiders revealing that their relationship had hit one of its roughest patches in years. Some even claimed Chrissy began questioning whether Jim still truly had her back after all these years. After all, this wasn't the first time she felt unsupported. Fans of love and hip-hop remember how Chrissy proposed to Jim years ago, only for him to drag his feet on marriage for over a decade. Now, in her eyes, his silence in the face of Cam's attacks was just another sign that maybe Jim wasn't the partner she always hoped he'd be. Meanwhile, Camron wasn't slowing down. He saw Jim's silence as confirmation that he had struck a nerve. With his signature cocky humor, Cam continued to post subliminal jabs on Instagram, making it clear he was enjoying every second of the chaos he caused. Funny how quiet some folks get when truth comes out. He wrote in one cryptic post. Fans ate it up, leaving comments like, "Cam stays winning, and if Jim ain't responding, you know it's real." But it wasn't just Cam clowning. Around he began dropping old connections or secrets tied to Harlem streets. The speculation was endless, and Cam loved every second of keeping people guessing. Industry insiders started weighing in. Some claimed Cam was going too far, dragging personal matters into the spotlight for clout. Others argued that this was typical Harlem beef, raw, ruthless, and deeply personal. What made this situation different, though, was Chrissy's role. Unlike Jim and Cam, she wasn't a rapper. She wasn't dropping diss tracks. She was a woman caught in the middle of a feud between two men who used to be brothers, and the public humiliation was eating her alive. As for Jim, his silence continued, but not without consequence. Fans began to speculate that his lack of defense meant cracks in the relationship. On social media, some pointed out how unusual it was for Jim not to at least throw shade back at Cam given their history of back-and-forth beef. Others suggested that maybe Jim didn't want to defend Chrissy, that maybe he secretly believed some of what Cam said, or at least didn't want to put himself in a position to deny it. His silence, meant to protect, ended up raising even more questions. In the middle of this chaos, Chrissy tried to regain some control. She posted a cryptic Instagram story that read, "People will always try to rewrite your past when they can't touch your future." The message was vague, but fans knew exactly who she was talking about. It was Chrissy's way of saying that Cam could dig as deep as he wanted, but she wasn't going to let it define her. Still, the cracks were showing. Comment sections filled with people questioning her, mocking her, and debating whether her entire relationship with Jim had been built on lies. Behind the scenes, pressure was mounting for Jim to make a move. His inner circle was splitsome, telling him to keep quiet and let it blow over, while others urged him to clap back and defend Chrissy before the damage became irreversible. But Jim remained in his bubble, moving as though the drama wasn't even happening. Instead, he was seen in the studio, focusing on music, posting selfies, and avoiding any direct mention of Cam or Chrissy's situation. His silence was almost eerie, and it only added fuel to the fire. But the silence couldn't erase the damage. Rumors swirled that Chrissy began distancing herself, even leaving the house for extended periods after heated arguments. Some claimed she confided in friends about how embarrassed she felt. How after all these years of standing by Jim through thick and thin, he wasn't standing by her when she needed him most. To Chrissy, this wasn't just about Cam's lit. It was about the man she built her life with refusing to protect her publicly. Cam, meanwhile, was watching it all unravel with a grin. He hinted at an upcoming interview where he might set the record straight, leading fans to speculate that he was preparing to drop even bigger bombs. The idea that Cam could still have more dirt left Chrissy shaken and Jim in an impossible position. If he defended her now, Cam could release something worse. If he stayed silent, he risked losing her completely. The tension was reaching a breaking point. For years, fans have questioned whether Jim and Chrissy's relationship would ever truly survive the test of time. And now, with Cam's interference, those doubts were louder than ever. And as the story developed, one thing became clear: Cam wasn't finished. Chrissy was fighting for her dignity, Jim was clinging to silence, and the world was watching, waiting for the next bombshell to drop. But when Jim finally made his move, it wasn't the fiery clapback fans expected. It was something far more shocking. And it would change everything. By the time the smoke began to clear, everyone thought they knew how the story would play out. Chrissy would fight back, Jim would defend her, and Camron would either double down or move on to his next target. But what happened next shocked even the most loyal Dipset and Love and Hip Hop fans. Jim Jones finally made his move, but it wasn't the fiery clapback anyone expected. Instead of storming onto Instagram Live or releasing a diss track aimed at Cam, Jim chose to walk away. Not just from the beef, but, according to insiders, from Chrissy as well. For weeks, Jim's silence had been analyzed, criticized, and dissected. Fans speculated he was holding back to avoid giving Cam more ammo. Others assumed he was biding his time to hit back with something devastating. But when Jim finally broke his silence, he didn't defend Chrissy. He didn't confirm or deny Cam's claims. He didn't even address Cam directly. Instead, Jim made a cryptic post on his Instagram. A simple black screen with the words, "Sometimes silence is the loudest response. Protect your peace." The post was vague, but it spoke volumes. To many, it seemed Jim was distancing himself, not just from Cam's drama, but from Chrissy as well. For a man who had been with Chrissy for nearly 2 decades, through countless ups and downs. The absence of her name in his message was glaring. Fans immediately erupted in confusion and debate. Wait, is Jim leaving Chrissy? One comment. Read. Another added, this ain't just silence, this is him walking away. The theories began pouring in. Some said Jim didn't want to get dragged deeper into the mess Cam created, while others argued that maybe Jim knew things about Chrissy's past that made defending her impossible. Whatever the truth was, his silence had morphed into distance, and that distance was breaking Chrissy. Behind the scenes, things reportedly turned ugly. Sources close to the couple revealed that Chrissy felt utterly betrayed. For years, she had defended Jim even when his loyalty was questioned on the show. Even when Mama Jones, the rapper's mother, constantly undermined their relationship. She had put her pride on the line by proposing to him, stood by him through his financial struggles, and fought for his respect in front of the entire world. And now, when she needed him most, Jim was choosing silence over solidarity. The tension came to a head during a heated confrontation. According to insiders, Chrissy demanded answers. Do you even believe me? Do you think Cam is telling the truth? Jim, reportedly calm but cold, told her he didn't want to be dragged into old stories and drama that had nothing to do with his life now. His words cut her deeply. To Chrissy, it wasn't just about Cam spreading lies. It was about the man she loved refusing to stand by her when the world was tearing her down. For fans of the couple, this was heartbreaking to watch unfold. Jim and Chrissy had been reality TV's roller coaster love story for over a decade. They had their fights, their reconciliations, their stalled wedding plans, and their iconic TV moments. But through it all, fans believed they were unbreakable. Cam's revelations, however, seemed to have done what years of criticism, family drama, and public scrutiny couldn't drive a wedge between them that looked impossible to close. And Cam, he was reveling in it. On Instagram, he posted a laughing gif with the caption, "Funny how the truth makes people scatter." He never mentioned Jim or Chrissy by name, but everyone knew what he was talking about. In another post, he wrote, "Y'all thought it was love forever, guess not." Cam wasn't just exposing, Chrissy was dismantling the very image of Jim and Chrissy's love story that had become a cornerstone of love and hip-hop history. The internet exploded with takes. Some fans argued that Cam was being petty, dragging a woman into a beef that should have stayed between men. Others insisted that Chrissy's past was fair game, especially since she had made her relationship part of the public spotlight for years. But what shocked everyone the most was Jim's decision to walk away in silence. No fiery rebuttal, no public defense, no attempt to rebuild the narrative, just distance. In the days following his cryptic post, Jim was spotted solo at events, Paparazzi caught him outside a studio session without Chrissy, a rare sight given how often she had been. By his side in the past, he looked focused, almost unbothered, but insiders claimed it was all a front. He's torn, one source said. He loves Chrissy, but he doesn't want to get caught up in Cam's games. At the same time, his silence is pushing her away. Chrissy, the humiliation was unbearable. She reportedly broke down to close friends, admitting that she never thought Cam could come between her and Jim this way. To her, the scandal wasn't just about the past, it was about the present. And how easily Jim could step back when things got tough. Fans who remembered her infamous fights with Mama Jones couldn't help but draw comparisons once again. Chrissy was battling for her place in Jim's life, and once again, she was left feeling unsupported. But perhaps the most shocking development came when rumors began circulating that Chrissy packed her things and left their shared home for a brief period. While neither Jim nor Chrissy confirmed this publicly, multiple outlets reported that she was reevaluating the relationship. For fans, this was the ultimate twist. Could it be that after all these years of ups and downs, after everything they had endured together, Camron's revelations would be the final straw that broke them apart. As of now, the future of Jim and Chrissy's relationship remains uncertain. Jim continues to post about music, business ventures, and Harlem Pride, while carefully avoiding any mention of Chrissy or Cam. Chrissy, meanwhile, has been quieter than usual, posting only sporadic motivational quotes and photos that hinted her struggle. The silence between them has become louder than any words they could say, and that's what makes this story so haunting. In the world of hip-hop, where beefs are settled with diss tracks and Instagram lives, Jim chose silence. And in doing so, he left Chrissy exposed, Cam empowered, and fans stunned. The question now is, was this silence a strategy to protect himself? Or was it Jim's way of quietly stepping away from a relationship that had already been hanging by a thread? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: Camron's shocking leak didn't just expose Chrissy's past. It reshaped the present, leaving Jim Jones to walk away in silence. And leaving fans wondering if love really can survive the ruthless world of hip-hop politics. If you thought this story was wild, trust me, it's only the beginning. Chrissy's past is unraveling piece by piece, and Camron clearly isn't done exposing her. The way Jim walked away in silence shows there's way more he's holding back. So here's the real question. Will Jim finally cut ties with Chrissy after all these years? Or will he defend her no matter what Camron leaks next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where y'all stand on this messy situation. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next bombshell. Because if Camron keeps swinging, this could get uglier than anyone imagined.